Hello, everybody. My name is Rob Costic. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the president of PFLAG San Francisco. We provide support, education, and advocacy for LGBTQ plus people and the families and allies who love them. Tonight's program is Asylum and Survival, and we're grateful you're here for this conversation about LGBTQ plus asylum seekers and their right to live in safety and dignity. We're honored to be joined by Kenan Arun, Executive Director of the LGBT Asylum Project, which is the only San Francisco nonprofit exclusively dedicated to providing accessible legal representation for LGBTQ plus asylum seekers fleeing persecution because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or HIV status. Kenan has more than 15 years of experience working on LGBTQ plus issues in both Turkey and the United States, and his work also extends beyond advocacy. He is a resident makeup designer for Golden Thread Productions, a volunteer with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus, and a board member of the Turkish American Gezi program platform. Please join me in welcoming Kenan.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the great introduction. And great seeing you all. Yes, my name is Kenan. I'm the executive director for the LGBT Asylum Project. I'm located in San Francisco. I live in Castro, and our office is also located in Castro. So if you're in the Bay Area, if you come to Castro for a visit, we are located on the 18th and Castro. And we are in office from our office hours are from 12 till 4. So if you want to stop by and see the office, we would be more than happy to have you and show you around. And I will begin my presentation. And at the end of it, it will be a brief one, but it will be a little like too detailed, maybe, about asylum process. And after my presentation, we will have time for Q&A. Yes, so this is our logo. And LGBT Asylum Project is founded by two immigration attorneys, Okan Sengun and Brooke Westling. And it was in 2015. And it was because of the need that they were receiving, that at that time it was Nigeria. So they wanted to start this nonprofit to provide free legal services for asylum seekers. And asylum seekers are fleeing their countries because of who they are and who they love. As Robert said, in our mission statement, it is stated as well, because of their gender identity, sexual orientation, or HIV stigma. And so there we go. Yes, we are the only San Francisco nonprofit organization exclusively dedicated to providing accessible legal representation for asylum seekers, LGBT asylum seekers. Do you know the difference between asylum and refugee status? Does anyone know it? Okay. I see some heads going like this and this, so I will go ahead and answer it. You can apply for a refugee status when you're outside of United States, but you cannot apply for an asylum status. The first rule to apply for asylum is to be in the USA. You have to be on the US soil to do that. And our jurisdiction is from Bakersfield, California, up to Alaska. So we have clients living in Oregon and also Washington State as well. When their time comes for their asylum interview, they come to San Francisco Asylum Office to be handled. We also do defensive cases other than affirmative cases. I will tell you the differences as we proceed with the presentation. So what is happening to the world, in the world, to LGBTQ people? Around 70 countries criminalize homosexual conduct, and around 12 of them implement the death penalty. These numbers change every year. I think it is 12 right now. It was 14 at some point. So we're glad to see it like it's coming down, but 12 is still a very high number. And the examples are like in Iran, government forces reassignment surgery. In Nigeria, there's death penalty. In Saudi Arabia, again, there's death penalty. And HIV, being HIV positive is full of stigma, lack of proper medication, and it makes it unsafe. So you have to be facing either future persecution or past persecution, and belonging to a group of people. So LGBTQ people falls under that category. And it could be including your race, your religion. So things that you cannot change or things that you cannot do freely or safely. Those are the reasons that make you eligible to apply for asylum. Do you have any questions? Am I going too fast or is it too bookish? Okay, so perfect. Asylum is you must be in the United States and 5 protected grounds: race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, and political opinion, past persecution and future persecution. And there should be no other place to live safely. So let's say if you are a European Union citizen, you are not eligible to apply for asylum in the US because you can live safely because of being LGBTQ um, somewhere in the European Union countries. And asylum gives them the protection from being sent back to their home country. Since our inception, we have had 138 approvals. And currently, we have around 320 cases, active cases. Because of the backlog, the cases are still pending. That's why we have a very high volume of cases that we handle. And our staff is currently uh, 8 or 9. We have some interns joining us for either the term also or for the full year. So that's why we have a internship program that we provide training for people who would like to be knowing more about asylum. So affirmative and defensive, I won't be going into like reading this all together. I will give you a very brief. So affirmative is somebody who's not in removal or deportation proceedings. And let's say someone arriving here on a tourist visa and a student visa, and they apply for asylum. And somebody's asking, is there a link for the Zoom meeting? So that's why, sorry, I got distracted. And they apply for asylum upon arriving to the US, and their case is handled in the asylum office. So it is an affirmative application, and they present their case in front of an asylum officer, and their case is either granted or uh, referred to court. And in defensive cases, usually what we hear in the news, people coming from the borders and asking for asylum, and it is directly put into a removal proceedings, which means that you have to defend your case in a court. It's not handled in an asylum office. It is handled at an immigration court, and you defend your case against the state prosecutor saying you have to stay because it's dangerous for you to go back. And the prosecutor is trying to convince that this person has to be sent back. So that's why it becomes a defensive case. You literally defend it. Currently, we handle both affirmative and defensive cases for all LGBTQ. But when we were first founded, until 2022, we were taking only affirmative cases. In 2022, we started taking defensive cases as well, but it was prioritizing transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex people. And last year, we were able to expand our scope and work and started accepting all defensive and affirmative LGBTQ cases. For the TGNCI, the transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex cases, we have a referral system with Ella para Translatinas. It's a project that we started, the two organizations started together. Any questions? Perfect. Okay. So when we have an approval decision, the asylee, now their status becomes an asylee. Before then, it was a pending asylum seeker. And they receive their work permit and social security number. And then 1 year after the approval, they can apply for their green card. And 5 years after, approximately, they can apply for naturalization to become a US citizen. However, right now, the wait time for an asylum application is over 6 months. Usually, it's designed to be handled in 6 months, but there's a backlog, as I've said. So the wait year is around 5 years. And during this time, after 180 days passed, the client becomes eligible to apply for a work permit. So they don't need to wait for an approval to get their work permit. After 180 days from their submission from the application, they are eligible to apply and receive work permit and social security card. And what do? We provide free legal services. Our services are 100% pro bono. And we can do this by the funding that we receive from individual donors, from the city grants, and also from the state grants, and also other nonprofit organizations who provide grants and funds for legal services like us. We have an online intake at our webpage. It's available 24/7 and it's checked on a daily basis by our legal staff. So once someone contacts us, it's Cassandra who's handling those emails. She goes over them, and then if they are eligible to apply for asylum or if they're asking for other immigration reliefs, this is the first step. And she sends them an additional email explaining, okay, we will be setting up an appointment with you for a consultation. Or let's say they're looking for an attorney who would like to apply for their green card. So that becomes a referral, and we refer them out to other nonprofits for anything that we don't do for like U visas, T visas, green card applications, naturalizations. We refer them to either attorneys or other nonprofit organizations. And once we take their case, either affirmative or defensive, we prepare their application forms and submit it. And upon submission, we start their supporting evidence and declaration. Declaration is client's life story, including violence, abuse, death threats, and fears of returning. This is usually traumatizing for the clients because they have to relive. So we keep telling them, okay, this is the last step. You will be writing it once and for all. And, like talk about it at the interview and you're done. And during this time, because we are handling people who were subject to trauma, we also receive on a regular basis vicarious trauma training to deal with secondhand trauma and also how to de-escalate situations or help the clients, because sometimes this is actually very common that they get a writer's block. They cannot write it, so we help them how to write their declaration. Supporting evidence includes medical records, police records, HIV-related or documents, letters, support letters from friends and family, and proof of sexuality. Proof of sexuality is anything and everything could be included. Photos of them attending Pride, photos with their partners, or screenshots of their profiles in dating apps like that. Or if they're, receiving any treatment or, like Truvada from the SF LGBT Center or SF AIDS Foundation, like that. Regarding medical records and police records, so if the client is attacked, like a physical harm, and they couldn't report it because this is also very common. Sometimes from the countries that they fled, the police and the government have a structuralized persecution to LGBTQ people. And this is easy for us to document because we have country conditions report. And in those country conditions report, we talk about how LGBTQ people are not protected by the government itself or the branches of the government, like doctors and police force. And once everything is prepared and reviewed, we submit it and wait for the interview date. And once we have the interview date, our legal director or staff attorney. They have a mock interview with them, and then they attend to the interview with the client. So in this photo, it's me. Right next to me is Brooke, and it's Cassandra. Brooke is our legal director, and she's one of the co-founders. Cassandra is our paralegal, and she is the one who's handling the emails. And Tay, right next to her, is our she was our intern at that time, and Chava at the very end is our asylum case manager. And what do we do apart from our direct legal services? We raise awareness. So we do social media campaigns answering hundreds of questions emailed to us. We have a social media manager, and we do press interviews and educational speeches at events like this one. And in this photo, it is one of the tabling events. It's one of our board members, Juan, and right next to him is, again, Cassandra. And this is our office environment. We have our volunteer days. Some of our volunteers, we have a photo right in front of the success wall. It is the stickers that we write anonymously going gay men from Nigeria, bisexual woman from Jordan, like that. And once we have an approval, we celebrate by adding their sticker and then ringing the bell in the office. And those two photos on the other side are our legal director and volunteer attorneys deciding on cases after consultation, whether they're eligible to apply or not, and or like if we can take on the case. And right below is Cassandra training our two interns about how to apply, how to fill in an online application form. So these are all. Thank you so much. I will be having your questions right now. Again, thank you for listening. I hope I didn't make it too bookish.
And you were great. Thank you so much. I had just a few follow-up questions, and then we'll open it up to the group. First of all, I was curious, what kind of activities do the volunteers do to help the organization? Like
Yeah.
if I were to come in, like what are the kind of things that you would ask me to do?
So we have volunteer days. It's usually the last Thursdays of the month. And we do not require any legal background. What we need is it's falling under around like four categories: document review, declaration review, translation, and research, country conditions research, or grant research, under those categories. And we provide the training. We have guidelines and manuals about what to expect and how to review a declaration. And these are done in a confidential manner. We do not have volunteers remotely. We have to meet them in person and have them in the office first for training. And upon that training, they can be remote if they want.
And I think one of the big sort of elephant in the room question I have is that with current events right now, the current administration, how they're openly, seemingly hostile toward any people coming into the country. This is kind of a two-part question. How has that affected your work at the LGBTQ Asylum Project? And also with, well, let me just leave it at that, and I'll let you answer that first.
Yeah. So it is worrisome because we are following the news every day, waking up to, like new regulations. Uh, and the current administration is doing their best to make it very hard for people to apply. Right now, United States is the only country that has an application fee for an asylum, which is mortifying. Other countries do not have that. It is $100. It is symbolic, some might say, or like it's something that has to be made. And in October of last year, they stopped accepting check payments. So it has to be done via debit or credit card. And that is also, like a second step to make it hard for people to apply, because when people arrive here, they don't have a bank account. So we had to create an emergency fund for clients in need when we were making their applications to do it in a timely manner. And they have the asylum annual fee. So annually, they have to, for the pending cases, they have to pay another $100, which we cover again, like to the clients who cannot afford it. But as I said, like this is done on a purpose to make it really hard for people to apply. And uh, the second aspect of the whole thing is the panic, the state of panic. Our clients, when they hear something, there's like a lot of media going around, so and misinformation that creates an anxious situation both for us and for our clients. So it is a lot of like putting out fires that shouldn't be there in the first place, or it's uncalled for. So last year we were dealing with clickbait media attention as well, because people were just like reaching out to us going, "Can you please tell us how we're gonna die?" Like to create more. So we were not happy about that state of panic that was fueled by the requests of media. So that's also what we're dealing with.
There's so much news right now about ICE. And one of the things I'm wondering, you talk about, these defensive cases and how they had to go to immigration court. Is it a thing on people's minds about like going to these courts to defend their cases as asylum seekers and being whisked away by ICE and sent to wherever?
Yes. So we I mean, our attorneys are with our clients all the time. So even for like ICE check-ins, we started accompanying them. Previously, we didn't do that. I mean, there was no panic in the previous administration. But right now, we attend with to each and every check-ins or appointments with the clients. We do not leave them alone. We haven't had an issue of like our clients getting abducted, knock on wood. But currently, we are putting in requests for remote appearances so that the client can appear remotely for the court hearings as well. For affirmative asylum applications, the client has to appear in person. So we cannot do any changes about that. But yes, we make sure that they are not alone in any of the appointments that they receive.
And switching over to kind of a second major issue with the current administration is their general anti-LGBTQ stance, especially anti-transgender stance these days.
Yes.
And do you find that making arguments for asylum based off of transgender persecution or other LGBTQ persecution is harder to make in court? Do you find that the courts um, are not as favorable in terms of considering those kinds of protections?
So, because we are in California, we're very lucky that we're still protected. Our clients are protected as well. But we have heard stories from other states that are actively against that we can see. And like for I mentioned the application fees. For the court application, for the defensive applications, for around 3 months, they did not have a place of payment or like a method of payment structured. So what was going on is that you would send the application, and in California, they accepted the applications. There was no problem. And they followed up with a note saying, okay, you have to make a payment. Right now, it's not set up. So we will let you know how to make the payment once it's ready to go. In other places, other states, we have heard that the application was not accepted. It was sent back by the court with a note saying you didn't make the payment. And the attorney goes, okay, where do I make the payment? And they go, oh, we don't know yet, but you didn't make the payment, so we cannot accept your case. So, like that, it's like the chicken or the egg that we're dealing with.
And also related to that, because the current administration has this very strong anti-transgender sort of program going on, do you find that there are fewer asylum seekers even wanting to come here? Correct. Do you see them like going to other places because they're like, I don't want to deal with the United States?
Correct. Yeah. It was very visible in our intake form, especially the last 2 months. When I was going over our records before the holidays, I realized that this December, we received only 12 um, requests in our intake form. Usually it goes up to like 70 plus in a month. So that's what's happening. People are scared to apply for asylum. That's correct. And we are getting ready to take on appeal cases because we're expecting that. I don't know if you heard of it. There's a lot of immigration judges in San Francisco who got fired. And because of their high approval rates, and they're getting placed by military judges. So we are expecting denials. So our legal director, Brooke Westling, and staff attorney John Tesoro and myself, we had a meeting last week to take on see how we can take on more appeal cases. So that's where we are.
Someone asked about housing.
Oh, yeah. So, for we don't provide housing services. However, we directly work with other nonprofits. There's Ruby's Place that we're in constant contact with. It's an anonymous shelter for people who are fleeing persecution and violence and human trafficking. So we have resources like that. And we have a live document that we share with our clients right away. Once we take on their case, there's a package that we provide them with, and it includes cash assistance, medical insurance, medical services, housing, job opportunities, all those. Clicking, it's a live Excel document that they can find information right away. That is the other thing that I want to remind everyone here. Yes, it's very dark and it is, depressing. But there's a huge group of people who are trying to help. And these people won't go away. So it's not like we're going to cease to, we'll just disappear. And there's a huge network of nonprofits who are helping each other out. So, yes, it is scary, but I'm getting emotional. Sorry. uh, don't feel hopeless. Yeah, because there's always a helper.
I think at this point, I'd like to open up the questions to our audience. And so if there are people here who would like to ask Kenan a question, please feel free to do so. And if you don't, then I'll ask more questions. But um, just for the record, to read us out loud, we got a question in the chat. This is a very sensitive subject, but I want to know if you provide assistance to apply for refugees in Canada.
On Canada, we don't, because it's another country. We don't know the regulations. However, we are in touch with Rainbow Railroad, and they provide. It's a nonprofit that is helping people relocate to Canada, and they have more information.
Someone in the chat asked, I'm curious to understand what it means that Iran does reassignment surgery. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So it's forced reassignment surgery for gay people to change genders. So it is government policy. I don't know if it's still in effect, but it was. There was forced reassignment surgery for LGBTQ people.
And
Consent. Yeah.
and I would add, my understanding that is that if they don't do the surgery, they get hanged. Is that correct? Like I have read about hangings of gay men
Yes.
before.
I read about the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I One thing I'd like to ask you is, can you kind of like, we're deep into the LGBTQ Asylum Project, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you came from, your
Oh yeah.
with LGBT stuff, and how you got here and got involved with the LGBTQ Asylum Project?
Yeah. It happened very organically. So I'm a previous asylee myself, and my attorney was Okan Sengun. And while my case was still in effect, we were in constant contact. And he told me that he's founding the LGBT Asylum Project. And I was working with a drag theater company at that time. And we started raising funds, dedicating our. We had in the break time, we talked about the LGBT Asylum Project. And then we collected funds, and that theater company, Drunk Drag Broadway, it became one of the champion sponsors for the LGBT Asylum Project. And in the first 2 years, from 2015 till 2017, everybody was volunteer. So nobody was salaried. And once they had the funds, they hired me as a project manager. So I was the first person to be hired by the company. And because of the things of our works collaborating, they are also private practice attorneys as well. And Okan last year um, stepped down to be with his company, and we basically worked on it together so that I could be the executive director. And other than this work, as you said in my biography, I work with Golden Thread Productions. It's the first Middle Eastern company, theater company of the United States. And I am one of their makeup designers. But last year, because they wanted to do a series of plays, especially to raise funds for Middle East, for Palestine, they created lines of plays that require minimal set and minimal costumes and makeup. So I was the audience last year. And the current office that we have, we acquired it from San Francisco Gay Men's Course in Castro. I was a singing member with them. I'm still volunteering for them for our drag, fundraising group, the Divas. And I was a singing member up until 2 years ago. Because of my work, I had to leave, but I didn't leave the company altogether. And when they bought the building on Valencia Street, they were looking for a nonprofit to take over their office space, and we did it. So we created history together by being the first immigration group in Castro. Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
oh, yes. Any questions from the audience? So when you came to the United States, were you like, I'm gonna make a beeline straight to San Francisco and I'm gonna apply for asylum, or
No, I mean, I came to Los Angeles first for the cinema makeup school.
okay.
And when I was there, when I was moving here, it was my brother who was telling me, because in Turkey, I was again working for a theater company, and it was a Turkish American theater group. And he was telling me that I was living in a bubble. And once I had this opportunity of like moving to Los Angeles, he was just like, look into ways of like staying, and maybe you should like look into asylum. And I was worried because I didn't want to lose my Turkish citizenship. And he was just like, just learn about it. And then, like if you want to apply, we can talk. And he was the one who talked me into it. And one of my close friends back in Turkey, she is childhood friend of Okan Sengun, and she got us connected. And that's how I learned about asylum and that I was eligible and that I should apply. And I spoke with my family because it was pretty evident that I wouldn't be able to go back to Turkey. So once both my brother and myself convinced my mom about that it should be fine, because they come here on a regular basis, so we have seen each other. Uh, but yeah, it was a tough decision to make. And then after my school was done, I didn't like Los Angeles that much. And I was thinking of moving from my apartment in Los Angeles. And Okan suggested that I move to San Francisco instead, knowing that I didn't like Los Angeles as much. And he was like, you would love San Francisco. You should live here. So that's how it happened. I see another Turkish name in the group. Ufuk Akkaya. İyi akşamlar, merhaba.
Oh yeah.
İyi akşamlar Kenan Bey.
We just said good evening to each other in Turkish.
Okay. Um So for people who you mentioned some of the evidence, the sort of documents that you put together for people who are applying for asylum. Like, do you have like recommendations, like going into the process about you should collect these things, or do you as a organization pretty much walk them through it and help them through that
I
process?
mean, most of the time, the evidence is there already because
Okay.
of their, photos that they took throughout their lives with like rainbow flags and so forth, or with their partners. Sometimes they have medical records because there's physical harm happening. So they have like scars of stitches, or yeah. And they can show it like at the asylum interview to the officer as well. But we do provide, it's there, just like something that we say, okay, you probably have photos. So that's how, yeah.
Okay. Are there I don't know.
I was curious, you mentioned that you help intersex people, and I was wondering if you had were these people that were surgically altered, or I'm is I have one of the variations. It's called Klinefelter syndrome, and I've been injecting male hormones for 50 years. But since you made this statement, I'm just wondering, um,
Yeah.
do you have many intersex people coming?
No, it's limited, but it's still there. And we don't provide any medical help to them. However, uh, it's one of the things. So somebody said trans is hypervisible and invisible. So it's the same for intersex as well. Like it's hypervisible and invisible at the same time. They become the target of attacks really quickly. So our help is on their legal cases to be heard, especially for the severe persecution that they receive because of their intersex nature. And people do not know about it, like the details, or like when you start talking. There are times that like we get educated while we're like listening to their story. Also, um, we educate this is a bold statement, but like the asylum officers as well regarding this. So it's a huge unknown still. There is a show on Netflix. You Can't Ask Me That. It's an Australian, and they receive like they make topics and they ask regular questions, or like uh, some other like stigma questions to people. One of the episodes is about intersex people, and it's beautiful. It's like they on purpose like answer very cringy questions that they receive on a daily basis, and it's very informational.
I think on this note, I think we'll wrap it up. Um, Thank you so much again. And I think maybe at some point, if I find the time, I'll come over and volunteer for one of those
Oh
books.
yeah,
And
you don't need to come just for the volunteer day. Like if you're in San Francisco and if you see our door open, please come and visit us because our office space, we really like it.
okay,
So, and it's a cozy place, and we enjoy having people looking around, seeing the success wall. It brings a lot of hope to people. So, like that. And we have a freedom wall as well. Yeah.
what's the Freedom Wall?
Freedom Wall is the torch for the Statue of Liberty, and there are butterflies coming out of it in rainbow color. And we chose butterflies because of DACA. The artist was a DACA recipient. And then we later learned that it also symbolizes transgender people because of the change, like the cocoon, and then you come out like as your colorful self. So we were so happy once we realized that we chose butterflies like on a good cause. Yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you, and thank everyone who attended this talk tonight. All right. So, for those of you who are interested, please check out their website and swing by their office. And we hope to see you again. And look at your little puppy.
Yeah, exactly. So this is Gustav.
Oh, cute.
He was listening as well. So I just wanted to like get him in the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a great evening.